All right, ready? What's going on, sports fans? Got to change the intro up just a little bit today. It is February 2nd. Happy Groundhog Day. Early spring on the way. I'm Kevin Carroll. We got Joe Soprano over here. And a very special guest today, Sam Zavada, in the building with us. Sam, welcome to the club.
It's good to be here. I look very small compared to you guys.
You do. That's by design. This is our show.
Oh, man. Intruder alert. All right.
This is our three-man booth setup. This is the second time we've had to do it. Maybe in the future we could maybe figure out some ways to make it
Maybe they'll expand the room for us.
They should expand the room for us. Has
that
been floated in your meetings?
There's been talk. I'm not privy of a bigger studio.
I'm not privy to the meetings. All right, so no football this week, obviously. Very sad, very sad. So you had a good idea, Joe. We're going to look ahead. It is February, and that means later this month, spring training gets started. And before you know it, baseball is here in full force. So we're going to look ahead at some baseball futures. I want to start us off.
Well, I think we're just a week away from pitchers and catchers reporting.
We're right around the corner.
Maybe 2 weeks. It's
right around the corner.
But first of all, I've got a over/under home run total.
Okay.
And I'm going to give you 2 for 1 on this one. First of all, it's Pete Alonso. He's at 49.5 is his total. I'm going with the over. It's about a plus 140. It's his walk year in his contract. Guys traditionally have huge years in that. This is a guy who's gone over 40 home runs in all but one full season he's played in. Even in the strike season where it was only 60 games, he hit 16 home runs, and that would have worked out to over 40 home runs. He's only had one season under 40. He's going to go over 50. I think he's going to have a huge year. He's hit more home runs since he's come into the league than any other player in the league, and it's not even close. He's first with 192. The next player is Matt Olson with 177, and there's only 2 other players.
That's a little close.
It's not that close. It's
15 home runs. It's a good. Yeah, you're right.
15 home runs.
Not to take away from Pete, because Pete's great.
And there's only 2 other players that are over 170 or over 150 for that matter. So I think he's going to go over that total. Not only that, I think he's going to lead the major. So if you want to pick up a little extra money, you could get him on ESPN bets at plus 850 to lead the major leagues in home runs. That's a pretty good bet. You bet $5, you bet $10. You get, if my math is right, you get $850 back on that bet.
Is your math correct?
I don't know. I'd have to do it, but I think it's pretty sure. So that's my first pick of the season.
All right. Now we should probably let our guests go first. That was poor table manners on our part. Sam, what do you have for us?
I was just going to say I did my fantasy baseball draft a couple of days ago.
Okay.
A couple months in advance, because I'm like that.
That's very early, yeah.
Like to familiarize myself with who's on what team and everything, even though there's still some
who's on first
thing going on.
Exactly.
That's baseball.
Exactly.
That's a baseball thing.
Exactly.
But one thing I noticed is that pretty much everybody's on the Dodgers. And if you're not on the Dodgers, then you're probably on the Phillies. And if you're not on the Phillies, then there's a good chance that you're on the Padres. You're kind of falling into one of those 3 teams. And I did some very quick research 5 minutes before the video started. And the Padres are at 81.5 wins, are projected to have around that total. And I think they're going to surpass that number. I don't know how smart the bet is, but I do know that I would have the Dodgers or the Padres to soar past 81.5. I think that the NLCS is going to be the Dodgers and the Padres. That's my hot take right now.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, for my first, I've got a couple here. And mine's kind of going against yours a little bit, in a way, Sam. I found this one on DraftKings Sportsbook for plus 110 odds. You can get the Diamondbacks to make the playoffs, like just to make the playoffs. Plus 110. This is a team that went to the World Series last year. It maybe was a little bit of luck. Maybe they were playing over their skis a little bit, but I think they're a good, young, talented team. They've retained the majority of their core players. They went out and they got Eugenio Suarez from Seattle. Didn't give up too much for him. He plays good defense on that side of the infield, third base and shortstop. And they also, I think the big problem with Arizona last year, maybe where they ran out of gas, was that after Zach Allen and Merrill Kelly, the rotation thinned out a little bit. They went out and got Eduardo Rodriguez, who is going to be he's a really good for where they're going to use him in the rotation, 3rd or 4th spot in the rotation as a starting pitcher is really good. And the way I see it, so this is what I'm kind of referring to. I'm not super sold on the Padres. In recent years, they've shown to be very active on the free agent market and the trade market. They have a high payroll, a lot of talented players. They don't have Juan Soto anymore. He's a Yankee now. And even when they had him, they underperformed severely last year. They probably underperformed their win total more than any team in the bigs last year. I don't know if that's true, but it feels like it might be true. So I really, I don't think they're going to be. I think I wouldn't be surprised if they underperform again. The rest of that division, the Giants going down, the Rockies. Even though I do have the Rockies in a later bet, I'm going to come back to them. But they're not a playoff team by any stretch. I don't think the NL Central has more than one playoff team. And the NL East, the Braves, the Mets are a question. The Phillies will probably be there, but I think the 3 wild card spots, the Diamondbacks should be able to get in one of those. And who knows, maybe they make another run. But just to make the playoffs at plus money seemed kind of crazy to me. It seems a little disrespectful for a team that is the reigning NL champion. So I'm going to ride with that for my first one. Diamondbacks to make the playoffs plus 110. Joe.
You're talking about being disrespectful for a team that was in the World Series last year.
You're about to disrespect.
Now I'm about to disrespect the world champions.
Yeah.
The Texas Rangers total 89.5. I think they're going to be under. They only won 90 games last year. I think they won 90 games. They played well over expectations. I don't think you could expect them to play at that same level again this year. I think they're going to come back to earth a little. They may be a playoff team, get in the postseason, but I don't see them winning 89, and I don't see them hitting 90 games. I think, 86, 80, get close.
Tough division.
Well, they do benefit because of the so-called balanced schedule, which really isn't a balanced schedule. If you ask me, it's an unbalanced schedule. You're playing more games out of division than you're playing in division. That is just ridiculous. I don't know what these people are doing to baseball these days. It's just you used to play, I think, your division teams 19 times, and everybody else, maybe it was 6 or something like that, or 12. I can't remember exactly, but what it was back. That's the way it should be. It's completely screwed up now, and it does give an advantage to the Rangers because they don't have to play the tough teams in their division as many times, but I still don't think they get to 90 games.
Fewer games against the Athletics, though, too, so you take the good, take the bad. All right, Sam, you got one more?
I can come up with one more because it's tied to the other half of my World Series prediction. I think the Dodgers will go over 104 and a half.
Big number. It's a big number.
Yeah, I think it's bold. I think both of the teams on the two edges of the league. I think the Athletics will be over 57 and a half. I think that's a dangerously low number, but I have a lot of faith in the Dodgers, though. I mean, I did go to LA this summer, so I'm still kind of riding a high of everything having to do with LA.
You're California cooking right here.
I am, basically anything having to do with that. I'm just going to ride with it.
Okay, I'll throw a win total in here. I was also looking at the Athletics purely because taking the team with the lowest projected total and betting the over is a thrill unlike any other. A couple years ago, I had the Pirates. I think they were 50. It was 58 or 59 and a half, and they got there in the last weekend of the season. It was such a rush. I don't know about the Athletics, but I am looking at the Rockies. I mentioned them briefly before, and again, they're not going to be good by any stretch, but their total is 60 and a half wins on DraftKings, and to take the over 60 and a half, you can get that at even money, plus 100, so you double your money if they win. They won 59 games last year. I truly don't think they could be worse. They're as much as that's as much of a backhanded compliment as that is. I don't think they can get worse. I think they have some good young talent. They have some ball players. Their pitching is really bad. So they might have to address that in the last week or two here before they really get going into the spring. But this is also kind of tied into where I think the Padres come down, and the Giants come down. So there are wins to be had. I know you don't play the same teams in your division as much, but you still play them more than anybody else. So I think there are wins to be had for this Rockies team. I don't think they lose 100 games. So I think they win over at least 62, maybe 64, 65. But I don't think they lose 100 games. So I'm taking the over 60 and a half. One of my good friends from college, PJ, shout out PJ, is a big Rockies fan, and I want nothing more than to see the boys be happy. So I'm gonna ride with them for the vibes, and because I just don't think that it's hard to lose 100 games. You have to be trying, and I don't think the Rockies are trying to lose the way that maybe the Athletics were trying to lose, or the Orioles from a couple years back were trying to lose. I think the Rockies are just in a tough spot, but I think they can win 60, 61 games for sure.
Well, you might be right.
Yeah.
I'll tell you one thing. I don't think Sam is right. I think taking an over in 104 games.
That's a big number.
Any team that wins 104 games has had a fantastic
It's a big
season.
number, but I get it though. With the influx of talent, they were already stacked, and they bring in Ohtani and Yamamoto.
I also think that that's a potential for you could have one of those teams that has so many stars on it, and they hit a little bit of a rough patch, and the team just explodes.
Yeah.
So I think that the Dodgers, could go the other way. I don't see any team 100. You're betting the over on 104. That's just crazy to me. Even if I thought they were going to go over, I'd walk away from that bet because it's so hard to get.
That's true. I believe the Dodgers are one of 2 teams this year with a projected total over 100. I think the Braves are around that number as well, which makes sense. Again, they're also loaded. Did you have one more, Joe?
I got one more for you. Right. I've got an over total for you.
Okay.
The Mets are coming in at 82.5, and you might say, well, you're a Mets fan. You might look at my sweatshirt and say, oh, that's Mr. Met on your sweatshirt. I can see him. And that's why. But I think they had an embarrassing season last year. Pitching is still a question mark, but they've got plenty of offense. I don't see ownership of that team letting them have another season like they had last year. I think they're going to come in. Blake Snell's still out there. Who knows who he's going to play with? Supposedly the Mets are still in on him. I had misread a headline earlier today that thought the Yankees had got him.
Yeah, no.
But evidently that did not happen. 82.5 isn't that many. It's just a couple games over 500. So I think it's a solid bet. 82.5 on the Mets. Take the over. You don't have to win 105 games like this. Maruk said.
Okay, now.
Joe, just trying to manifest that. I like that. That's something I do far too often with teams I like, is I try to just bet on them to make them win, which never works. But I'm going to throw one more out there. Did you have one more, Sam?
No,
okay,
you got this, Kevin.
I'll wrap us up then. I have a homer total. We'll kind of come full circle. You started with Alonso. I'm looking at Adley Rutschman. The Orioles have been the talk of the town. This obviously last year they were so good, the 1 seed. Tough out in the playoffs. There wasn't a great showing for them. I think they're going to be hungry, but I love Adley Rutschman. I think his home run total is 19.5. I'm taking the over at -110. He hit 20 home runs last year. In his rookie year, where he didn't play the whole year, I believe he hit 13. I think he only trends up. I think he's going to have a monster year. It's tough for catchers to win MVP. I'm not saying that. That was one I looked at. I was looking at the MVP markets. Like, do I sprinkle a little on him? It's a tough field. That's a tough award to predict every year, obviously. But over 19.5 home runs seems like a lock to me. He's going to be, he's a switch hitter, so he's not, if you were a pure righty and you were taken out by that weird left field they put in at Camden Yards where it's deep, I'd say, oh no, but he could switch hit, so he can go to right field out there. He'll play a couple games in Yankee Stadium where you could just hit the ball out anywhere. He'll play a couple games in Fenway where you could just hit the ball out anywhere. He's got all these things working for him, and I think he's due to just have an absolute monster year. So don't be surprised if you see him in a couple different award conversations at the end of the year. But for now, the over 19.5 home runs, I like it. I think that's a pretty good pick. At -110, again, I'm on DraftKings Sportsbook. I know everyone uses their different books. I'm on DraftKings because I've been winning recently, and I shop based on vibes.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned Yankee Stadium because that right field porch in Yankee Stadium, the Courtdale Pringle Luzerne Little League field actually has a longer right field porch. Does the Courtdale Pringle
Little League have a big right field out there?
Bigger than Yankee Stadium. What's that? What is it, like 198 these days?
I think it's like 90 feet. I think you just have to hit a little. Hey man, it's every way. The visiting team comes in, they get to hit it out there too.
I hear they have it on rollers this year, and they're going to push it back for the visiting team.
They're going to push it way. It's actually going to be like polo ground center field dimensions for visiting teams, and South Wilkes-Barre Little League dimensions for the Yankees.
Well, that would not surprise me with the Yankees.
Anybody have anything else they wanted to throw out there?
I just wanted to say one more thing. I've been feeding Joe correct college basketball picks for
feeding Joe correct picks. Joe probably doesn't even bet them. I bet college basketball every single day.
He doesn't. Joe sleeps on my picks, and he's not going to go over on the Dodgers, the Padres, or the Athletics. But all 3 are going to happen. You heard it.
Joe Soprano, dream stifler, ladies and gentlemen. And speaking of college basketball, I'm glad you mentioned it. If you read my column in today's paper, which I'm sure you have, I'm sure you have it cut out and hanging on the fridge, and you're crossing things out and you're circling like a madman. I had two college basketball picks in there for today's slate. So if you see this video, get onto your favorite sports book, your book of choice, and take the 2 picks I have for you in Friday's paper. Not going to spoil them here, but they're pretty good. And I love betting college basketball. And that'll probably be where my column heads once we get done with football. We will, of course, be talking talking about the Super Bowl next week. So we'll be
can't wait.
back on football for one more week, taking it to the end of the year. And as always, folks, everything you need for a successful weekend, whether it's football, baseball, basketball, bocce ball, darts, any other sport, the one where the horses dance, was that dressage?
Yeah, can you bet on that?
I'm sure you can somewhere. And if you could bet on it, we'll have some info on it for you at tlsportsbetting.com. So the minute you click out of this video, you head on over there and get everything you need. As always, we thank you for watching. Have a good day and have a successful betting weekend.